Hey folks, Engineer775 here. Pretty excited, pretty happy to show you my new system here. You might have seen it in the chiller video, but I wanted to tell you a little bit more about it. This is an Outback Radian 8,000 watt inverter and midnight charge controllers. I have a east array, a west array. I've got my main panel, my secure loads panel, and I'm in the process of moving loads that I want backed up. Currently I have my wood boiler and a freezer on here. Many more circuits coming over here. Just want to kind of show you the process. What we're doing is, you want, for a backup panel, you want to be able to take the critical loads and move them over to a panel that's always going to be running if the grid goes down. I'm also able to send all the power that I can produce to my house, which is 150 feet away, through a series of transfer switches. I'm using a 930 amp hour flooded lead acid battery. It's technically a forklift battery. Got an automatic watering kit. Really learning about batteries, making sure that this baby is charged right on bulk, absorb and float. Specific gravities are good, and really trying to help you understand your batteries and if you're considering a battery-based system. I haven't got it inspected yet. I've got to label this thing correctly and get this thing inspected so that I can start selling power back to my power company and zero out the power bill. That is the goal. I've set it up for expansion. I can add 2 more charge controllers down here. I can add another GSLC load center and a Radian if I want to in the future. So I kind of designed this, thought ahead. I've had a year to think about it. Been collecting all these components for over 11 months, and I do have about $30,000 into the solar, the electrical, the batteries, the components, the labor. There's a lot of work in one of these systems, and so about 30K into this Outback Radian 8,000 watt system. Looking forward to sharing with you when I do run some new appliances, pumps, air compressors, blah blah blah. I'll be able to show you how I'm actually running it in an off-grid fashion. It's a hybrid. I can do both, and I like the hybrid because it's more efficient to dump all the power back on the grid than to actually run your appliance. But that's another whole story. Some people just have off-grid systems. I wanted to do the hybrid. I'm able to disconnect from the grid through transfer switches, so I'm pretty confident I'm going to be able to keep this thing going. As soon as I got it installed, the power went out for 6 hours. It was an awesome test. I just got the switches thrown on and it was able to run it. So is an EMP the only thing I prepped for? No. We had a violent thunderstorm, smashed my wood boiler, took out power, and I was running on the Radian. So the house is cruising along just fine. I cannot EMP protect this thing for under probably $100,000, so I don't even go there. I go back to my hand pump, my wood stove, and my food, and I'm fine with that. So we just can't EMP proof it. I know there's going to be questions about, what are you doing? We have a solar arc for smaller loads and circuits that are critical to us, but we can't do the kind of loads that we want to do that the Radian affords us to do. So, hey folks, Engineer775 here. You've heard the expression, a cobbler's children have no shoes. And sometimes I feel like that when it comes to some of my power systems, because I work on everybody else's, but don't ever get to mine. So I've kind of been collecting and getting all my gear together for this week because I'm just going to put mine in. I have solar panels sitting under a shelf for 8 months. I got racking, been sitting on the ground for just about the same amount of time, inverters and boxes, and everybody else gets priority, of course, and that's okay. But I have everything here, and I even have the mini excavator, so I'm going to start digging my ground mount holes this evening, right now, soon. It's just been baking today, and so I said I'm going to do it this evening. I'm setting up an 8 kilowatt solar array, 2 ground mounts. Going to do our classic flying V. I like to do this with this Pathfinder at this time of night because you can see the shading. If you follow the end of my finger, you're going to see the tree line and come over it. Whoops. And it's hard to do with that, but you can see that tree line in there. So the light area, this is the solar path at this array. And so let me just kind of snag that there. And And what's cool about that, you can see if I rotate, my solar window goes down. It's hard to see that solar path, but I want to make sure that I'm taking into account tree growth and the future and having a little factor of safety. This is my southeast, my morning array. And over on this side, I cut a lot of trees in this area, but over here there's some biggies. But I'm not worried about it. This is my southeast array, and I'm going to do the same on my southwest. So I'm kind of walking you through. Hopefully you get something out of this. And my ugly mug's in here, right here, but it's out of the sun path. So this kind of gives me this shape, like it's Batman, I think. Yeah, that's the shape I'm shooting for here. Just kidding. And I'm cranked over about 30 degrees, but it is my best window for my southeast facing array. And I'll get sun on my panels here at 6:30 in the morning. It's about 3:30, 4:30, depending on the time of the year. And I'm mainly shooting for that 9 to 3. If I get a good 9 to 3 window, I'm pretty happy, where the intensity is the highest. So, okay, enough of that. Now we're going to go over and we're going to set our... I'm going to start digging. That's what I'm going to do. And when I do that, I've just got my little pole here. It's a story pole. It is the distance between my posts on the Schledder ground mount that I'm using. And that's just going to be my center hole. So I like using the pole because then I can have my post lined up with my solar pathfinder. And so when what I'm seeing in there is what I'll see later on my readouts, because I'm going to have this thing hooked to the internet, hooked to the brain dead on that, the optics optics RE on the Outback Radian 8048A, and you can see the shadows starting to get over towards my track host. So that array is still cranking, and we're getting over towards 6 o'clock. But I do have these. I'm not too worried about it. If I'm on the tails, I'll still be making a little bit of power, but I want to generate as much as I can. This is going to be a hybrid system, meaning it's a hybrid battery backup, meaning I am going to net meter and grid tie it, and I'm going to sell everything it'll make back to my power company and get credit for it. And I also have the option of going off grid with my battery bank. And for me, it's going to be a lot of times I'm going to be off grid, testing equipment like the heat recovery chiller and other air conditioners and pumps. And so I'll be able to truly test them in an off-grid fashion. But during most of the time, I'm going to be dumping the power back on my power company. You might say that's cheating, but I think it's smart, using the grid while the grid is up. And there's a lot of debates on that, but that's what I wanted to do, especially with the way my house is laid out and where I'm feeding from. So, and then I'm going to trench from my solar arrays over to right into that wiring trough, and then I've got my power wall ready on the other side. So getting ready. So I've been out marking where I've got all sorts of power lines and sub panels and water lines in. So now is the fun part, where does Scott remember where he put everything? So anyhow, I kind of do, and if not, there's nothing like a track hoe to find a water line. So here we go. Finally getting my power wall done. So ended up going ahead and surface mounting these panels. So we ended up putting in a sub panel, and I started bondoing and getting this wall ready. And the reason I wanted to do this is just 3/4 BC plywood was to sand it, and I'm just going to paint this whole wall battleship gray. And then I'll be able to just attach my inverters and charge controllers, just screw them on however I want to arrange them. I don't have to worry about hitting studs. So it's real heavy duty plywood. We'll be in business. So I'm just going to sand and paint, and then get my wiring trough up there. Got some nipples to connect from the inside to the outside, and bushings and all that fun stuff. So we're making good progress. And we'll get everything on this wall, and then I can get my battery in here, and we'll get the battery hooked up, and hopefully power this baby up next week. Okay, this is my southwest facing array, and I'm angling them about the same, pretty hard angle, 30 degrees. off of True South, but the way my tree line is, I'm going to get more production if I do this. And good from April through September, really good afternoon air conditioning power, taking me up till 6 o'clock at night. So real excited about that. So that's kind of what I'm doing on this array. So we're going to have our first hole there, and then this is kind of the middle of the array. I'll be sitting over there. So my morning array is in the shade because it's 6 o'clock at night, but this one's still doing great. And so pretty good solar window. I do have a group of trees there. Can't do much about it yet, but always need firewood. Okie dokie. Let's get digging. This is one of the best days of my life. Having a mini excavator and lots of diesel fuel and plenty of holes to dig. This is a lot of fun if you've ever done it. You know what I'm talking about. And to be able, it is so dry and so dusty here today. We're in a serious drought and this ground is so hard. So without this machine, it would be really rough going with my tractor, my auger, and my shovel. So very thankful to my buddy Brian, who dropped this machine off, and he said just use it for the weekend. Can't beat friends like that. All right, let's get to work. All right, we're getting our holes dug for the shredder posts. They are big old holes, a couple yards of concrete each one. This thing ain't gonna blow away on me. And my buddy is so kind enough to let me borrow his mini excavator for the weekend. So that's what I'm doing. So I'm gonna start the next one now and dig it out. Got 2 holes to put here, and then I'm going to do connector lines between the holes for conduit, and then I'm going to run the shortest distance I can up to my wiring trough, which is on the shop. All right, an exciting day for Engineer775. Getting to install my own solar system today. Concrete trucks coming in a little bit to fill up these swimming pools, about 1.5 yards each on each post. This is my southeast facing array. It started getting sun around 7 in the morning, which is awesome. And then I've got my connector lines for my conduits to connect up with my southwest array. So real excited. And it's been so dry here. Very fortunate to have my buddy Brian drop off the little Mini X, which is just a wonderful piece of equipment. It's fun to operate, easy to run, and boy is it handy to do a lot of things. I'm going to possibly do a video on how to process firewood with a 12-inch bucket and the thumb. I can just grab a log, swing it around 180 degrees, cut it up, grab another, swing it around 180, cut it up, and cut it up at a level that's comfortable for you standing with your chainsaw. Anyway, that's a fun thing. But we're on solar, so I got all my gear here, the shredder mounts, 24 solar panels will be right at 8 kW with solar, and real excited to make some power. I got the boys from Gain Solar coming to help today, and looking forward to wiring up this Radian. I did all the prep work that I think I could have done. They're bringing some of the PV wire and some of the gear that I don't have. I could have got, but just didn't. And so they're going to help me out today. So just very thankful this morning for good friends, and I enjoy working with these guys. They work fast, they work hard, and they do a great job. So got my wiring troughs all prepped for them to wire our conduits in. I'm going to run 3 2-inch conduits. We'll give an update on that later. And then, pardon the shop, it's an absolute disaster. Jobs that got to be put in, but I'm taking a little time out to put in my system. So, going ahead and prepped my power wall. Unlike Tesla, this is my power wall. It's going to have everything I need to run my house and to experiment on all sorts of cool off-grid devices, and from air conditioners to pumps to you name it, anything that we want to experiment with, I'll have the ability to do that now. I'm real excited about that. Been doing it on everybody else's home and project. Now it's time to be able to do this here. So I look forward to basically getting this thing set up. I put a new surface mounted panel and we'll pipe up. Everything will be surface mounted. I put BC plywood up so I can just screw my components in and arrange them and not worry about finding studs. Just kind of organize the wall the way I want to. The battery will go here. I'm not putting it in now because it's going to be in the way of working today. So I hope to get everything hung up on the wall today and get that shredder mount, at least with concrete in and the girders up, and then we'll start wiring, putting everything together. Can't wait to get my hands in this Radian and get working on it. It's gonna be hot in this room. Better get some fans. All right, this is a continuation of my off-grid system. This is a battery backup hybrid system. I will be able to sell back power and take advantage of some of the features on these inverters, like Grid Zero, being able to use the grid and blend it into just basically help start loads. I'm working really hard to get rid of any loads that are surge, that are, you know, like compressors, and everything I'm doing is inverter compressors and things that will start up basically from a very low 0 to 2 to 3 amps versus hundreds of amps in some traditional equipment. All right, it's a mess. Sorry about the mess, but it's work in progress. And this is the schematic we'll be following today on the Outback Radian series. And how's that for confusing? It's always exciting when the concrete truck shows up. They had problems, they're 2 hours late, but we're getting her done today. We're gonna get some concrete in these swimming pools. You see the size of them holes, Johnny? I got a little carried away. Couldn't help myself. Engineer775 back with the Radian Outback 8048. We're pulling all our wires today, getting our hands inside the old Radian. And so Johnny from Gain Solar coaching me. It's my first Radian and I don't want to guess. So we're going to the manual right now. So anyway, we're trying to get this thing done. And so I've been getting my hands inside of this Radian and Johnny's coaching me along. All right, as we continue on wiring up my system, I am honored to have, guess who? Johnny Valentine. This is awesome. He's showing me how to wire up a Radian and the classics. Eat your heart out, Jason Andrade.
I'm actually trying to channel some Jason Andrade and do everything.
Oh man.
Probably like
yeah, we're under Jason puts us under a lot of pressure. All right, so what did you just say about the Amish?
So the Amish people, I met these Amish guys at the first solar convention I ever went to long ago. And they're the ones that basically told me that they would I could try to do all this stuff, and as long as I would buy the equipment from them,
they'd hold your hand through the.
They would let me call them and be like, "What do I do?" So I want to meet with them.
So the Amish hooked them up, and then
Jason Andrade started saying like, I guess we said to him, "Hey man, your stuff looks really good."
Yeah, we found him on the internet.
He gave us the secret of the gutter, the secret of the knockout tool.
So we're playing Amish techniques and Andrade techniques to my Outback Radian system. The arrays are being wired up. We've got an electrician that's helping us on the AC side, doing some line side taps. So we're doing some mad scientist stuff, Johnny says, on this.
No, this Radian, we were thinking it was mad scientist, but then I found a wiring diagram on Outback's website. So the only thing kind of mad scientist is that in the Outback website it shows 2 Radians, but what we're basically doing is we're doing a whole house backup style installation of the Radian and instead of doing like a dedicated load sub panel. So we're not going to be going into this job and moving a bunch of circuits around, doing a bunch of electrical work. We're just using a transfer switch to do a whole house backup. So, among other things, when Scott goes to the Great Wall of transfer switches, he's going to be able to
switch off the world.
He'll be able to send power from a variety of devices to a variety of devices.
And that was the plan, so we can experiment going forward.
Many different power sources.
All right, we'll be back.
Yeah.
All right, these boxes have just been, I just keep adding boxes, and I've got more levers than a casino right now. I got disconnects, off-grid levers, multi-switches, and so I had to add, I got a disconnect for my solar arrays. I've got an AC disconnect because I've got a line side tap in here that basically I'm pulling power as an input to my Outback Radian. I'm able to select between Radian and or generator. If I still want to run my house off of generators, I can go up and do that. But for code, in case there's a fire, the fire department can come out and disconnect everything. Everything needs to be labeled. I haven't done that yet. So I am going off grid here with a transfer switch. I'm feeding my house and shop and RV pad and everything through this box. This allows me to select whether I'm solar or generator, and then I have my disconnects. Without this wiring trough, it'd be really, really hard to do, and all the wires feed in. So that's my switch gear for my system. Okay, here's our solar arrays. They're Suniva 325 watt modules, 12 on each shredder ground mount. Love the shredder. You're able to put up this, 3,900 to 4,000 watts on 2 poles, and it looks nice. It's just a great way to do solar for ground mounts. And got this angled a little bit towards, this is my morning southeast array, so I'm getting a good window, and that's my southwest array, and that really cranks into the evening for handling air conditioning loads. And got to do a little bit of landscaping. I got to get my cows out of here. The cows have been testing my cows here. I guess they're testing my solar system. They've been dirtying it up, scratching on it. So I guess in a way I'm testing whether or not this is going to withstand my cows. So, and also look at this. I'm so excited about, I was able to get, I put all these different conduits in. I put basically 3 conduits, 3 home runs back to my shop, and I only used 1. I was able to get all the solar and all from these 2 arrays into the 1 pipe. So I have 2 empty pipes for future development. So if I want to add a grid tie inverter, put another solar array, if I want to put a windmill, if I want to put more, just duplicate what I've already done, I can do that. But I'm really looking forward to, there's some amazing grid tie inverters, high voltage stuff, transformerless islanding, all these terms I know nothing about really. I'm learning, and being able to take the energy from the sun, take it to basically back to the grid. I might not even charge batteries with it, just sell it back to the grid. I'm able to dump 100 kW back on my power company a day, so we'll see what happens. So a lot of options. If they do away with net metering, then I'll just go off grid, and I'll use the grid as long as the grid is up to handle those times when I'm not able to charge or or able to extract solar energy. So just wanted to be set up for the future, be able to be completely off grid, but also be able to use the grid in a variety of ways. Alright, I think I'm signing off finally.